Have you got an e-commerce store but you're just not getting the sales that you expected? If that's the case, then this is the video for you. I'm going to take you through 5 different ways that you can increase your e-commerce conversion rate so that you start getting more sales. So tip number 1 is to sell your key messages in your imagery. Have you ever heard the phrase, "A picture can say 1,000 words"? Well, the saying couldn't be truer for e-commerce. Your product imagery can be used to hook people in and really sell the key benefits of your products and why they should be purchased. I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone on an e-commerce site and the imagery has just really let the product down. So here's a few things you can do to make your imagery as strong as possible so that you can really sell those key benefits to your consumers. Firstly, use high quality imagery. Now, I'm not saying you need to go and invest thousands in a professional photographer and hire a studio. All I'm saying is make sure your photography is as professional as possible. There's tons of tutorials on YouTube about how you can make e-commerce images with a simple backdrop and an iPhone. It really doesn't need to break the bank for you to get high quality professional imagery. And if you put your site side by side with another one and you can see that your imagery is a lot stronger, a lot more professional, it just gives the consumer that little bit more trust in you, feeling that they're going to buy a high quality product and not something cheap and crap from China. Secondly, it's all well and good having images of your product on a white background, but the reality is people don't buy products, they're actually buying benefits. They buy your product because of the benefit it's going to have to their lives. So with this in mind, make sure you don't just have these standard white background images. They serve a purpose, but alongside them, include lifestyle images, show your product in use and really show those benefits and why that person needs this product in their life. And my last tip for product imagery, this is something I really like. If you go on websites like Amazon, and in particular you look at their Amazon Echo imagery, you'll see that they show the product on the white background, they have lifestyle images showing the products being used in kitchens and other settings where you might use it. But one thing Amazon does really well is also they realize that people don't have the time to sit through their product page and read every single part of a long product description. So what they do is they use imagery to sell those benefits. And the way they do that is by using text. So on the screen now, I'm showing you some examples here. You could use a lifestyle image of your product, but also show some text on there to really explain the key benefit that you're talking about. And all of a sudden, just by scrolling through 6 images, your customer's got a great idea of why they need to buy that product. So that's a few tips there just to show you how just a few subtle tweaks to your product imagery can really sell some benefits and ultimately get somebody to want to buy the product from you. So tip number 2 is to make sure you're creating copy that sells. One thing that most marketers do when they're looking at an e-commerce site and they're thinking about how they can increase sales and conversions, they're thinking about imagery, site speed, video, things like that. And now while they're important, one thing that's often overlooked is actually the product descriptions. Sometimes just by making a few subtle tweaks to the text you have on your product page can really help sell those benefits again to the user and capture their imagination to make them actually understand why this is the product for them. So again, there's tons of videos on YouTube that are going to dive into this a lot deeper, but I'm just going to give you a few hints and tips on how you can make your copy stand out and sell your products better. So firstly, you need to know your audience and what makes them tick. What problems do they have in life and how is your product going to solve those problems? People need to know what's in it for them. So look at those pain points and really make sure you're addressing each pain point in your product descriptions. And remember, when you're writing copy, you're not selling features, you're selling benefits. So for example, if you go on Apple's website right now and you have a look at the latest iPhone, it's not just a list of technical specifications. They really sell the lifestyle benefits to you, and that's also communicated in the imagery they use. But ultimately with the product descriptions, they're really talking about the benefits. You will find out why this phone is the absolute best phone on the market for a camera. That the megapixels in the camera makes these images so much crisper than you've ever seen before. So all of a sudden, a technical thing like megapixels in a camera is translated into a real lifestyle benefit that you and I can relate to. And that is going to help people want to buy your product. So tip number 3 you need to use testimonials on your website. Testimonials are a great way of reducing risk for consumers. In fact, 72% of people have said they're more likely to purchase a product if they've read good reviews on it. So with that in mind, if you've got any testimonials or reviews, make sure you're displaying them clearly on your website at relevant points in the consumer journey. Providing this social proof at different steps of that journey is going to constantly reassure people that you're a good company to deal with. If there's problems, you're going to be there to fix them. So there's a number of different ways that you can include reviews on your website. The most obvious one is to include star ratings on product review pages, but here's just a few of my favorite ones. If you haven't done so already, make sure you register for independent review websites like Trustpilot or TripAdvisor. It's all well and good displaying some ratings on your website that you've gathered yourself, but they're going to be far more trusted if they've come from independent sources like Trustpilot and TripAdvisor. People are really skeptical these days, so if they come to your website and they see a ton of 5-star reviews that you've just uploaded yourself, they might not necessarily believe what you've got to say. However, if all the reviews have come from a trusted source where they know they're vetted, they're going to have a lot more faith in what you're saying and that these reviews are genuine. So using Trustpilot as an example, the thing I love about them is that you get a little star rating. So for example, some of the businesses I work on, they've got a 4.8 out of 5-star rating. And that's something you really want to shout about. If there's thousands of people out there and you've got an average of 4.8 stars out of 5, that's really going to reassure people that this is a good company to work with. So you want to make sure you're displaying that star rating everywhere possible on your website. Put it on your homepage, put it in your header, put it on product pages. Everywhere that you feel that people are going to go on your site and that review is going to reinforce the reason for them to stay, make sure it's clearly displayed. So one thing as well to just talk about with reviews, often you might see people displaying individual reviews on their website, and it always happens to be the most positive ones. Now I understand the motivation for this, but another thing to bear in mind is that again, people are skeptical. If they come to your site and all they see is positive reviews, it can make them think the other way as well. Has this company got something to hide? The reality is, not everyone's going to have a positive experience, but that's okay. Negative reviews are actually a great way of showing people that you can be trusted. We all know that no experience is going to be great 100% of the time. So if you can be upfront about that and say, look, this customer here did have a negative experience with us, but we've responded to that review and here's how we solved that problem, that's going to help potential consumers a lot more. They know there could be problems when they deal with new companies, but if they know that you're going to be there to solve any problem that may arise, they're going to feel so much more confident in buying from you than one of your competitors. Have you ever gone onto a website, added a product to your basket, and then for whatever reason you've not completed the entire checkout process? Yeah, I've been there too, and so have millions of other people. People can be right in the middle of your checkout process, and if they see one thing that they don't like, they will literally be gone at the click of a button. So here's a few quick wins on how you can reduce your cart abandonments. Firstly, be upfront about your shipping charges, and even better yet, don't charge any shipping. One of the main reasons that people abandon a checkout process is because they've seen some sort of shipping charge added later in the process. They've seen a product that they want to buy for $10, but then when they've added it to cart, they've added in their address information, they then get to the shipping section and you've chucked on another $4.95. So all of a sudden, when they thought they were spending $10, they're now spending nearly $15. And that's quite annoying. So just be upfront about those shipping charges. If you're going to be charging a flat $5 fee for shipping, let people know earlier. Display that on the product pages. Have a little note that says, look, this is $10, but here we charge a standard $5 shipping fee. So even better yet, just don't charge for shipping. What a lot of companies do now is they build the shipping charge into their product prices. So what a lot of consumers feel like when they go onto a website is they don't want extra charges on top of product fees. And offering free shipping is a great way of increasing conversions. So the next tip is be upfront about the payment methods you accept. The amount of times that I've gone through a checkout process thinking I can use my American Express card, and then I get all the way through checkout having entered my address and all of my other details, just to be told we only accept Visa and MasterCard. If I'd known that I couldn't use my American Express card, I wouldn't have just wasted 5 minutes of my time filling out your checkout process. So a great way of being a bit more upfront about the payment methods that you accept is on the first step of the checkout process, have a big flag that tells people these are the credit cards that we accept. You can also do something like in the footer of your website, you could put the logos again of the different cards that you accept. Just being more upfront about the payment methods. So one other thing to think about is reducing the amount of steps in your checkout process. People don't have loads of time and everyone's all about convenience these days. So take a look at your checkout and analyze if you're asking questions or you're putting people through steps that they don't really need to go through. If you look at something and you think, I don't really need that information to be able to get this product to that customer, then just take it out of your checkout process. If you can keep the process as simple as possible and as pain-free as possible for the consumer, they're far less likely to abandon cart and they're going to complete that purchase with you. So lastly, you can do all of these things, but the reality is there's still going to be some people that are going to abandon cart. And in these situations, you can use software. So one software that I use on all of my e-commerce websites is CartStack. CartStack is a software that seamlessly plugs into all major e-commerce platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce. It allows you to do things like send people cart abandonment emails. So someone's come to your website, they've just added a product into their basket, they've entered their email address, but they've abandoned cart for whatever reason. Well, 5 minutes later, there'll be an email in their inbox just asking them to come back to the website and complete their purchase. And another thing you can do is you can include incentives. So in that cart abandonment email, you can entice people to come back to your website and finish that purchase by offering them a 10% discount. Everybody wants a good deal, and it's going to cost you 10% of your sale just to get that person to come back and complete the purchase. Like I say, I use CartStack in every one of my e-commerce websites, and I can personally say that I've seen on average about a 20% uplift in sales just by plugging that into my websites. So my last tip is to make sure you're optimizing for mobile. Now I know that should really be a given, but you'd really be surprised at how many people forget this during their processes. When you think about it, when you build your Shopify store or your WooCommerce store, you're doing that on a computer. So as you're going, you're checking that content looks nice, but you're doing all of that on a laptop or a desktop device. And often people will forget to go to their mobile and just check that everything renders correctly, it performs at the speed that you'd expect. Website traffic is about 50-50 between mobile and desktop, and I can only see that growing. So if you're not optimizing your entire website and your checkout process for mobile, then you could be leaving a lot of money on the table. So to summarize, if you follow these 5 smart steps, you're going to massively increase your e-commerce conversion rate and ultimately the amount of sales that you're generating. You'll have a store with great product imagery and lifestyle images that really sell the benefits of the products to the user. You're going to have great product descriptions that again aren't just technical. They're telling people why they need this product, and they're giving them some real life examples of how this product is going to impact their lives. You've proudly displayed your reviews across your website. You've let people know that other customers have come here and they've had a good experience. And you've also not forgotten that there are some people that might have had a negative experience, but you've been there to help them and make sure that that negative experience turns into a positive one. You've taken a real good look at your checkout process. You've made sure you're upfront about any additional shipping fees. You've told people what payment methods you've accepted, and you've even got a cart abandonment software like CartStack in place, just in case there are still a few people that drop off along the way. And finally, you've not forgotten about your mobile devices. You know that there's a lot of users coming to your website on a mobile, and you've made sure that the experience is perfect for that person. Thanks for watching. If you've liked the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.